Hello, everyone. My name is Tebele, the coordinator for the Selalelo program. And in this exclusive conversation, we sit down with two of Gaborone's most inspiring legal minds, Yvonne Chilume and Marang Keorapetse, to explore the evolving landscape of womanhood, professional ambition, and social equity in Botswana. So both attorneys have carved a distinguished career in their fields that is traditionally dominated by men, and we're just trying to see how they navigate the challenges that test their resilience and wisdom and leadership. So we're hoping that through this dialogue, they may share their insights into the intersections of patriarchy, motherhood, Yvonne, and professional life, while also offering us guidance and inspiration for the next generation of women who are poised to reshape society. So from navigating gender norms to advocating for legal and social justice, Yvonne and Marang will provide us a candid and thought-provoking perspective on what it means to be a woman lawyer in Botswana today and the legacy they hope to leave for the future leaders. Welcome, ladies. You may introduce yourselves better. Yvonne, can start with you.
Thank you. I am Yvonne. I always want to mention the Kalanga name Kose Chilume. And I've been practicing for over 30 years. And I have a public sector experience and a private sector experience. And currently, I am operating a law firm which caters generally for legal matters with specialization on gender, intellectual property, etc. I now am with Marang Keorapetse as my professional assistant. Thank you.
My name is Marang Keorapetse, as already mentioned. I'm currently working as a people attorney for Ms. Chilume. Just recently joined in 2024, and I recently got admitted as an attorney in 2025, February. Yes, so I'm generally just a newbie in this profession, but I would like to offer my perspective as a. But I don't want to use the word Gen Z because that is what most people refer us to. So, but as a newbie to the legal profession, that is.
So we can start with you, Yvonne. Can you please share your journey of becoming a lawyer in Botswana with us and what inspired you to pursue this career?
All right. As a young lady just completing the community work, I had friends. We in the group, we appeared to be active in leadership. And so we ended up leading in certain projects, and we ended up naturally being attracted to the law degree. And really the one that really inspired me was one lady who was very well known, and now she's late, Mamutsemme. She was very, she was prominent and very attractive, intelligent, and whatnot. So I just went for the law degree because basically it presented that toughness and that the resilience that a woman would need in an environment that is not necessarily friendly to women. Yes, that's basically it. And yes, then I then got married during the law studies, and then joined public sector. And the public sector is very important to me because that is where my training ground was regarding the governance in the public sector. So leaving, the Attorney General's chambers to join private sector. Private sector also had a whole, I benefited from the private sector as well. And that's where then I developed interests in my work of representing clients.
Yeah, Marang, you can answer the same question for us.
I'm relatively new to this. What really inspired me to become a lawyer is I genuinely just acted out of passion. I wanted to be two things when I grew up. I decided that I wanted to be a doctor from a very young age. And then along the way, I fell in love with debate. So I recently, I think during my Form 5, I started reading articles of the female lawyers that were before me, Bomis Atalia Mulokome, Bomis Dao, and I fell in love with the profession then. And like I said, I recently completed my LLB, and I'm currently being sensitized to the environment or to the legal environment by Ms. Chilume, who's actually doing a very good job. It's like teaching me the nitty-gritties of the legal profession and actually making me fall more and more in love with the law profession.
Do you want to tell us how being a woman shaped your experiences in the legal profession? I know you said you had a group of women associates that you guys were into some leadership stuff together. Do you think, anyway, just how has being a woman shaped your experiences?
Yes, this particular friend of mine, she ended up in a magistracy, so she was a magistrate, and I was in government in the public sector. And but what our main the conversation, our conversation was around having to deal with some kind of an institutionalized discrimination kind of. But you could even trace it from the very kind of customary practices that exist and they are brought in the workplace. So if from home, as we are being socialized, you see, that's another issue that we picked up, that a child or a girl child is socialized at a very early age. The setting up of this Botswana Girl Child Alliance with Flora Siboni from Molepulule, we set up that, and we went to Molepulule, one of the schools, and we were allowed to access the children, and picked up that young as they were talking about how strong daddy is and weak, mommy is weak, daddy is the one that is strong. At that early age, and we left, thinking this is this change or this behavioral change that needs to take place should start from the very early childhood learning stage to be taught that because they already know the gender roles, stereotypical gender roles from home, and then it's brought in the classroom. So
Let me just say something. Have you ever looked at social studies textbooks? You will be so shocked to find what they are teaching the children. It's not, they're not getting it from elsewhere. It's in the social studies books. I have seen shocking and scary things. I remember one time when my little sister was like in primary school, she showed, I said, let me see your book. And they were talking about how different tribes conduct their funerals. And there were things this is a book being given out to students in school. They'll say things like, the Basara people don't use coffins, they just wrap somebody in a skin. This group doesn't have coffins, they just put people in a wooden box. I was like, what? So those things filter through from there. But anyway, you can go on.
Yes.
You can go on.
So if we have that kind of socialization and permeating in the societies from every angle, we should have a structured way in order to overhaul this. Because as a young lady growing up, as you reach late teenage, then the questions start outside the home. When are you getting married? When are you having a child. You are getting old. You understand?
Yeah.
You are having these conflicting advices coming from home. It's very clear. It's academics, but in the working world. But outside, as you are, mingling and interacting
Relatives,
with, yes, and you find that this thing we call teenage pregnancy, they don't call it teenage pregnancy. It's an indication of being a woman. So you in a way just sort of have to sort of resist this influence of having a child and all that, dropping out of school. We've all faced it. What I'm saying is this, that the legal systems had already adopted or entrenched. For instance, if you look at legislation, it's he. What is it doing? It's actually recognizing the pronoun he.
For humanity, for all humans.
Yes, but for all humans. And then, of course, in the Interpretation Act, a very important piece of legislation, he includes she. I mean, why? And I remember having to present to, with the Attorney General giving me assignments to go and present. There were women that were sitting in front and they were asking me, why is it like? We have inherited from the Commonwealth countries, we inherited from our colonizers. And that happened to sort of complement our customary practices and law. But remember that our customary practices and law, they're not set on stone. And so
yesterday I was listening to, in passing, somebody on social media, and it was a woman and she was an attorney, and she was talking about, I suppose that she was American. She was saying, our founding fathers, that thing, when you start talking like that, you sound so intelligent and whatever. And I was like, that's where the problem is. Our societies were founded by fathers.
Yes, it's already biased.
So,
yes.
So that's why we're having the problems, and that's why we're having these kind of conversations to challenge those kind of we know that they are all foundational, but we can rebuild where we say, how the Americans will say, we the people. It needs to be we the people throughout. You don't say the founding fathers and then later say we the people. It should be we the people from the beginning.
Yes. But why is the ceiling still there? Why are we not really penetrating that? And we still have male dominance. It doesn't matter what it is, we still have male dominance. When you mention a statement that seems to be empowering women keep quiet. And you'll be, instead, it's a male who will support you. We're still inhibited by the
culture,
socialization and culture. Yes.
Okay, no, let me jump over now to Marang. Now that you're a brand new lawyer and a female one at that, do you feel like your age and maybe the fact that you're a woman influencing how clients treat you at this early stage of your career?
Sometimes it comes as a slight comment, as, "Auntie, you're like too young to be doing this," or "You just, are you still learning? Are you sure you know what you're talking about?" It's always those comments that set you back. It's like, oh, I went through 5 years of law school to actually sit in this conversation and like discuss this with you. From my experience, for my short-lived experience, majority people are more open to young people and like young lawyers, because they're saying like brilliant young minds. Young people have like brilliant minds, and they have like innovative minds, so they are more open to having discussions with young people on the table and with young women on the table. It's not as discriminatory as it was for I only want to deal with male lawyers, or I only want to deal with those kind of people. It is still there, because again, majority of the older generation still do believe that like men are more intelligent than women, which again, looking at how society has been, it's questionable. It's really questionable, but we are not yet there. We're not yet there.
What does it mean to you to be a woman in Botswana today? Obviously, you can see the differences between your parents' age mates and older and yourselves. So what does it mean for you?
Being a woman today, the only word I can compare womanhood to or girlhood to today is freedom. We are free to do whatever it is we want. But there's limitations, like what you said. There's always a ceiling to, as in, you are free to become an engineer. For example, when we enrolled into law school, right? The class was mainly dominated by females as compared to males. There was like a higher number of females in the class as compared to males. So that obviously it made it clear that women can do it too, right?
Yeah.
So however, there's still that ceiling because sometimes you get word goes around, no, that one only hires males only, or that one only deals with males only, so you can't, or you're not able to talk to him, or you're not, like, because he only wants to deal with males and he feels like females are superior. So in as much as it's okay to be free and advocate and do whatever it is you want to do as a woman, there is that ceiling. There is that ceiling that always limits you to some extent because men exist.
Yeah, yeah. Because you spoke about all the, I guess, the glass ceilings in the profession. But how do you now balance the cultural expectations of womanhood with your professional identity? How are you balancing those?
Well, our profession is a very cutthroat profession where the deadlines, the professional standards that you need to uphold. If your work involves courtroom or boardroom, you need to set the standards so that you are already in a position that is already set out, so that you don't have that leeway of having fun and all that. It is a very hectic and involving profession. Sometimes you have no even social life. The focus that we women, especially women lawyers, is that we tend to have some kind of a delicate balance of being relevant in all sectors. It's a very delicate balance, but these are the cultural, should I say, demands that we grew up with. So it's something that you have grown up with, but of course our strength, whether it's perceived as a strength or a weakness, but we are then perceived to behave like men. I'm telling you. And you find that even our way of thinking, our lifestyles, they're no different from our colleagues, the male attorneys. And they are the ones that they know the challenges that we face. They are aware of the challenges that we face. We have less time to attend because we are juggling other demands out there.
Okay.
Yes.
What would an equitable workplace look like for women in law for you? So how do you think the gaps can be bridged?
Yes. It can be bridged by making it a woman-friendly place. For instance, especially in the workplace, if you have, women who are, full-time workers, that you treat them like male workers. So you need to extend and be flexible in terms of time, in terms of the manner of producing results. So the women that you hire, the women I've observed that women tend to work very hard. So though they are generally known to be away from the workplace due to motherhood, attending to the minor children and all that, they make up for it. They totally make up for it. So another issue is that the COVID-19 has also taught us, of new ways of
Working.
working, this remote and flexible hours. It works for the woman.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
I guess the,
yes.
the work that gets done. Yeah.
Yes, you see, that's the thing. As long as the work is done,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it is.
Okay. No, let me talk to Marang. You are young, but you are very astute, and I know that your antennas are higher than everybody else's as a female lawyer in Botswana. So I just want to hear from your perspective, if ever perceive what appears to be patriarchy operating in the Botswana society, what sort of things have you seen?
So patriarchy is still like a prominent thing in society today, right? Because we still do have or abide by customs and norms and traditions that really cater to the patriarchal side. In as far as I've seen or in as far as I've heard, because majority of the time I never really generally had an experience with that, but majority of people that I've consulted and have like dealt with patriarchy is that it is still a sure thing. Like other people, especially in male dominated fields or like in the working space or the male dominated working space, do experience some form of sexual harassment, some form of abuse. So patriarchy is still an issue that we need to discuss, especially the ones that affect females in like male dominated areas. So we still need to address issues for sexual harassment. We still need to address issues that abuse in the workplace, abuse even outside the workplace, because it still happens. It's still a prominent issue in our society.
What are some of the legal or societal structures that you think particularly disadvantage women in Botswana?
Yes, we can I start off by saying that because the women have been they take advantage of this Abolition of Marital Power Act. The Abolition of Marital Power Act basically just makes the two married spouses equal. They have really they have attempted to make an equal partnership for both spouses. Yes, and of course, when it comes like that, the judges will interpret and pass judgments based on that, and which is good. But then, when you then look at it this way, that our constitution has this a non-discrimination clause. This non-discrimination clause includes gender, sex, but however, that general universal clause has exceptions, and guess what those exceptions are? The exceptions are closely related to our customs, customary law, practices, and whatnot, relating to family, relating to inheritance, relating to general
Can you
sort
explain
of
that a little? Yeah, explain that a little bit better. I really want to get what you're saying. So, what do those exceptions mean for the people?
It generally means that discrimination is allowed in these areas.
Give me an
The
example
areas
of, let's talk about inheritance. Just, inheritance.
inheritance.
Yeah.
Inheritance, for instance, our inheritance laws, they have they sort of follow patriarchy lines. If you have been a woman, even then, whether married or not, remember, it doesn't matter whether you're married or not. The inheritance lines are patriarchal. And the bench, we are lucky we have an active bench where they are having cases coming to them, and they are then making rules to indicate that equality is equality, because we've signed conventions. The international conventions also have to come in, because they have introduced a whole change, so that Botswana then has to follow the global trends, and they have ratified and signed these conventions. Yes. But with respect to the woman's position as a minor area of family law covers, it's generic. It would cover, the marriage, and then the maintenance and all that, the whole spectrum relating to the family. And then there is a customary law. Customary law definitely promotes patriarchy, as you know. Yes.
How are they allowed to exist side by side? Every day, I may not, know much about law, but I know that thing is foul. How are we running two parallel systems?
This is the thing that we have. Botswana is dualistic. So from that premise that we are dualistic, we are enforcing the law that we adopted from outside, but we also have our customary law. So yes, the tendency is that if there is a sort of like a conflict, the received law is the one that takes over. But our constitution should be very, very clear that we're all equal, and then it should descend to customary law, especially customary law and all. But like I say, when it comes to implementation and enforcement, some of the courses, they are advanced, just like judges. And you find that they are already applying the equality rule between yes, and they will be saying no, customary law changes. It's dynamic. It is not static. Yes,
I like that.
But it's sporadic.
But I think we should set aside time and also pursue this more, because even in my limited mind, I can see that that's where the problem for the women comes from. Now, I want to ask Marang something, or even I'd like to challenge you, Marang, and your peers. We respect the society that shaped us, that raised us. And certainly there are so many cultural things that are beautiful about the whether it's the Tswana culture or the Kalanga culture or whatever culture. Some of it is really good and beautiful, and I don't think it needs to be thrown out with the bathwater. But one thing that really irks me, like I just want to kill somebody over this, is, you can see that patriarchy is being attacked from many angles. Okay, I see it, and I'm also a participant in its destruction. But there's one, you know what it feels like? It feels like the last stand is this little rule in the Kota. Have you ever been to a Kota meeting? Have you ever?
I have attended one.
Yeah, where they say you should not wear pants. I mean, of all the things that they can do or say, to put women down, like don't wear pants. So I want you young people to help us to get that thing incinerated, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Makes you angry.
Yeah, it makes me very. I mean, it's a very little. I mean, it's not a big thing. But can you imagine? Have you ever been to a Kota meeting during winter time, when your legs are exposed because you don't have a long dress, and they are well covered, and they are trying to
and everyone is wearing socks underneath.
No, I do not like that thing at all. It's a very minute and possibly not a very big issue. But I think if we can, as women, get rid of that law, we would have won. It might not be as important as other issues, but me, it's one more hurdle that we can bring down. So I want you, all your young female friends, to see how we can stop that.
We need to mobilize.
Yeah, we need to mobilize and make sure that, no, because we're talking about if we are talking about equality, let it go all the way across board. So that's my challenge to you. But anyway.
I think your issue, emanates from part of the patriarchy or the patriarchal society. The customs, one of the customs is modesty, I guess. But females should always be covered. You're not supposed to leave room for the imagination. That is what majority people say. So I think we should mobilize.
No, let me tell you something. Have you ever seen photos of real traditional, whether it's Tswana or whatever, dress? We're bare-breasted, happy, flappy. You know, so you cannot tell me so this modesty, I'm not against modesty because I myself, but you cannot try to say this is the Setswana because it's not. Okay, Setswana has changed, obviously. That wasn't us in the beginning. And actually, allow me to give a little, take some of your time and tell you, do you know the reason why we ended up half naked as Batswana women was precisely because the men were the ones in charge of making up the clothes. So it never occurred them, or maybe they thought it would be a little strange for a woman to have to cover her breast because she's expected to be breastfeeding all the time.
Yes.
So Yvonne, I want you to chime into what I just said. I'll go back to you. What do you think of what I just said?
The thing is that I was just wondering as you were talking that it seems like those times they were not objectifying
the women.
Yeah. Because right now, currently, if you dress in a certain way, you find that women are being used as objects, and the woman's body is not it's not given the respect that it should be accorded. But like I keep saying, all this, even your talk about women should do this, all that is under an exception of a non-discrimination. But they'll argue and say, Botswana has a non-discrimination. I mean, Botswana constitution, it entrenches, a non-discrimination clause. But look at the exceptions, and look at the way this chastisement of men having the right to chastise and beat up their wives. This thing is just not going anywhere. We're having all sorts of attempts to reduce, but I don't know where it lies. Like there
are no attempts. There are no attempts. We are talking about it, but there's nothing structurally that
action. Action.
Yeah.
Okay, lawyers are using the Domestic Violence Act, but is it sufficient? Is it sufficient substantively? That's another issue. It's outdated. It needs to be revised. It really needs to undergo some kind of overhaul. But it also that in the whole process, there should be adequate consultation. There should be adequate consultation. But I don't know, the behavioral change around it, I don't know where we should start. I think the only idea I have, let me rephrase it, from an early age, they should be socialized in a certain way. Once there this division of roles in the home, women do this, young girls do this, like what we hear, whereas they are here, the girl children, when they come from school, they're expected to cook, to what? Some households, the boys will also be, doing the domestic work, but it's mainly still concentrated on the girl child.
Yeah. Or the bulk, the hard work, yeah. You and I, we see them in Mankodi every day, those kids, and you can see these kids I have it rough,
Yes, they have it rough, yes.
Yeah. So,
and you wonder, how are they socialized? But they are seeing you and me, and they're asking, okay, a woman can actually live her life.
Yeah.
But still you have the male opinion around you.
Yeah.
That thing, you can never escape it. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Marang, back to you, my dear. So I'm just wondering if are there any social issues that you feel are underrepresented in the public discourse, particularly those affecting women in our country?
Okay. The main issue, the very prominent social issue that is affecting women is gender-based violence. That we cannot, there's no argument about it. There's no debate about it. Because I don't know if you're active on social media. There's a recent video of that.
Hey.
That very gruesome video of that. That is like one issue that really needs to be resolved. And like you said, there's zero action. There's talk around it, but there's zero action. There's people advocating, oh, we need to stop gender-based violence. We need to do it. We need to do it. But what are you doing about it? Because there's just that stagnance in trying to resolve the issue, yeah, gender-based violence.
I want to pick your brain, Marang, on that topic. What do you think? What part of a human being's brain makes them believe that it's okay to raise your hand to another human being? What do you think? I mean, I know you cannot possibly know. Sure.
Okay.
What do you think? Why do men feel like they have the right to correct women with violence?
Again, like Chilume says, it really stems from socialization. So you teach people from young age, hey, mosadi wa betsa, or hey, go iragala yana le yana le yana gore mosadi wa correctiwa ka thata.
Yeah. Do you think there are any fathers telling that to their sons?
I think there are fathers showing that to their sons because if you do like the video I made reference to, if you watch it, there was a child present in that entire like conflict. But it's fathers showing that to their sons and then not being able to process it properly and them like eventually like affecting it or like making it a norm now. It has become a norm because currently it's issues everywhere. It's either passion killings or just gender-based violence issues everywhere.
Yeah, as much as he was just saying about the way women dress, because it attracts violence on their, on their. One thing that I find very interesting is the Western cultures. Okay.
Yes.
The Western cultures, a woman can just walk around with a bikini, and nobody's going to. In public, a woman might be wearing like extremely revealing or even naked. Okay, it'll shock a few people still in the Western world, but no, even if you were to go to a beach, everybody's going to be scantily dressed. And the men in those societies know that that is not an invitation to anything. Even when you are dressed all the way up to your knees. So what do you think is going on there? In fact, I think the men are very capable of being told, no, that's not how you do it. And do you see how all these other countries, all their men are locked up in jails because of this violence? What will it take for us to change men in our own society, in your view?
Like we did say before, stricter laws. Stricter laws. Because again, during that discussion, I had a discussion with one of my friends, and then she mentioned majority of the time when people who experience like violence, they're not in their right mind because they're currently not being able to process the violence and then being able to actively speak for themselves. Because also you're going to experience violence tomorrow. Yeah, we talked, but we are able to resolve our differences. And that on its own is problematic. So she did mention, isn't it possible for someone to actually assume like locus standi and then you're declared temporarily like unable to attend to the matter? So someone who like has a different view or a different opinion or has your best interest at heart, be able to resolve those issues on your own, on her behalf, right? And I think that's like one way of approaching it, especially with issues relating to gender-based violence. It would resolve a lot because I have experienced violence and there's no way of going around it. There's no way of going around he'll never do it again. He vowed he's never going to do it again. But again, really it stems from socialization. If we enforce stricter laws, it will make men more they know this will attract a charge, this will attract a
don't you think that's going to cause some kind of a gender war where the men feel like
there's always been a gender war. Women have always been like really what do you call it, neutral about it. We have been tolerant about it. there's always been a war between men and women. Korehela is going to cause a bigger rift. Ming, again, it is us sending a message
No,
to them.
I think that started happening when I think when the country got its independence and we had this new law, constitutional law coming into effect. Because before, a woman did not have a place or a say in anything. Not like it didn't matter. You know, all marriages were arranged, and you had to go to Bojali to learn how to please a man, serve a man. So there's a cognitive dissonance of some kind, and we have never really come together as a society to say, okay, it used to be like this. We've moved on to this. How do we, weld together so that we have a functioning society? But So let me go back to Yvonne and say, I know you said you started an organization for young ladies, and I'm just wondering if you can expand a little bit on how you use your legal expertise to advocate for whether it's young girls or women in marginalized groups.
This was a long time ago. We needed funding. Unfortunately, we didn't get any funding, but we were targeting the reception standard 1, standard 2. I was also actually active with Metlaitsile, NGOs, Emambasadi. So my role was to really work with the shelters, Sonesa Bolorato, Sakufiwa, and get clients who were traumatized, and for them to actually undergo a legal process and all that. But these shelters were they couldn't cope with referrals. One in Maung, one in here in Gaborone, and all. So the bulk of my time in practice was to, handle these cases where there would be either a restraining order. But like I was saying, restraining orders are under this Domestic Violence Act, and they're very limited. They don't necessarily address their problems. And then the issue becomes like, we already have a big problem in our hands. She is dependent. She'll be a dependent. Sometimes she's working, so we'll be working hand in hand with the employer. She has children, and those are the issues that we needed to do. And then, of course, she's undergoing counseling. So these shelters were actually funded and sponsored by the donors. And every now and then we'll be told there's no money, there's no this, but we would be taking them on a pro bono basis. Some would recover, but then they would be some kind of to facilitate their future. Are they going back to the matrimonial home, or they're not going back to the matrimonial home?
What did they do? Did they go back?
Some do, some don't. They have different,
realities and things to consider.
Yes. And all. But I don't know if I've answered your question. The Emambasadi and those NGOs during the times we were growing up, they predicted this. They predicted this, that the violence is going to get out of hand.
Yeah.
And femicide is going to grow, the numbers of femicide. Yes.
I think it's because women are now trying to claim their freedoms without having to beg for them. That's why men, I think in some instances, Barry, this woman is disrespectful to me or whatever. And that's why they feel like you can beat them because you're standing up for yourself,
But that thing of respect has always deluded me. They complain that they are not respected.
Yeah.
And yet they themselves are not respecting the woman. Yeah. They are claiming respect and expecting submission.
I can
what? Yeah.
I can imagine that coming from the high level, looking down to say, I'm the head.
Yes. That is the thing, entitlement
Yeah.
and the right to chastise a woman. And the general tolerance. We should be going for zero tolerance of everything. You know, well, I find that people are just relaxed and people are dying.
And I actually hear that in a lot of instances, when couples have disagreements, sometimes the police will even encourage them to go back and talk.
Because we have left it with the police.
Yeah.
We have left it with the police. Why can't we have some kind of specialized even tribunals or courts? And this will be marriage. Happen before even marriage, you actually marry and go through the ceremonial. They've got to undergo some kind of what do they call them? Premarital counseling, and things are not working. It's evident that they're not working.
Do you know what? Do you know the majority of women getting married in Botswana? Their idea, it's not their idea. Their form, the form that they receive of counseling is that
is
Can you imagine? I'm laughing because I don't know what else to do. Can you imagine? That's all. Like on that day, you're going to give a young girl this message that she must just like be a doormat, literally a doormat for a man.
Yes, but they do that. Right now, there's also another clip, a trender. In South Africa, the Constitutional Court has ruled that men are also entitled to assume the women's surname. Keep on laughing.
I thought it was.
Women themselves are saying, keep on saying no. But other men are saying, yeah, I'm fine with it. You see? He says, no, I'm fine. Momo even said, yeah, you know, but the men are more, you see the way the reaction is very interesting.
Do you think that is a problem? Do you think bride price is a problem in our society?
Yes, it has to be abolished. It's also permeating, it's promoting.
Making it worse, yeah.
It's promoting, this patriarchy.
Yeah.
What
about you, Marang? What do you think of Bohadi? What do you think?
I do believe the same, because Ghana, the way they what you explain it is, we are buying you with these cattle. So if you are my property, I can do whatever it is I want to do to you. I can beat you, I can insult you, I can do whatever. It's a very problematic thing. Even if you like try to say, yeah, Ghana, it's because how most people would would phrase it is, it's money that the married people are supposed to use when they go into marriage, but it's never really that. It's just that, yeah, you're giving you this money, so and then we sort of like are buying this person into our family, and then we can abuse them however it is they want. It's very problematic.
You know, I'm reading some old records from Jan van Riebeeck, the guy who established the Cape Colony. I'm reading records from his time, and I have found some very interesting things. And one of the things was that sometimes the Africans would, molest or do something bad to the Dutch, and the Dutch would arrest them and keep them in their little jail. And the Africans used to come with cattle to say, no, can we buy him back their freedom? I'm saying this to say, I know Bohadi has always been an outright sale of a wife, right?
Wife, yeah.
Now I'm seeing what it even extended to trying to get prisoners out of prison to buy back. So it was so entrenched. They knew a human being can be valued in terms of cattle.
Yeah. Of cattle and money, because even I grew up in a village, so majority of the time you'd hear, hey, there's been an incident, like one of the younger girls have been raped, and you see the family of the person who committed the rape once they reported to prison. Can you like release our child? The matter be like be thrown out, right? Just say you don't have enough evidence and we'll give you the sum of money. And then people do accept it. You know what, it's okay, we'll forget about it. that on its own is very problematic. Using that financial power, financial leverage to be able to buy yourself out of situations that put women under these circumstances is like
danger.
one of the
It's
worst
also
things.
danger. It puts them in danger. It endangers.
Yes, it is endangering people.
Ooh. Which village are you from? Because me and Yvonne over there, we live in the same village, just out of interest.
I'm from
Oh,
Monatala, but
okay,
from
okay.
Peru originally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I'm asking that because we live about 45 minutes away from Gaborone, Yvonne and I.
Mm-hmm.
And our village is so small and just derelict. Like, there are no jobs, nothing. And I talk to the women sometimes in the neighborhood just to hear what their stories are, because I'm interested in the women's stories. And it is all just like the stuff of nightmares, orphanhood, sexual exploitation and abuse from childhood, all kinds of things are happening. And I'm just wondering how things are in Maunatala, are you aware of those kind of things?
Okay, I think it's same, honestly. It's same, especially in like marginalized areas, right? In like very remote areas, it's the same thing. So you'd have things like child marriages. I think Chilume and I were discussing the issue of child marriages before this interview. Or you have things like both child marriages, you have things like the ones I was telling you about, incidents of rape and abuse and molestation, that there's hash money being paid to like the victim's family by the perpetrator, and it leaves you just defenseless. Because as a parent, your role is to protect your minor child. And in issues where maybe you lost a parent or you're growing up with relatives, kind of distant relatives that don't really have your best interest at heart, it's really difficult for you to be able to navigate that space. You can voice out your complaint and say, yeah, you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to harm me in any way or shape or form because I have rights. I don't think they do believe this issue of rights can be a very prominent thing as it is in like towns and cities, right? So they do believe, yeah, the rights are the thing, but they don't apply to us. So that is an area that we need to discuss. Marginalized groups of women, women who are in remote areas should be educated about these issues and should be sensitized about these issues. You do have rights, and you do have you are awarded protection under the law for issues that are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even if it's just relief from abuse and yeah, just abuse. You can go to shelter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll provide adequate help for you. But you get that majority of the shelters are based in urban areas, right? Towns and cities, and you don't have shelters in the village. So you go back home, and then after an incident at your husband's house, and then your father is like, you're not entering my house because we're not. This is what it's about, right? So it's a very problematic issue. It needs to be addressed. It has to be addressed.
Yeah. Hey, Machilumi, there's something that I want to ask you in a way that it will not be offensive. But let me say this. There's a certain ethnic minority in Botswana where the children don't go to school. I think you know who community I'm talking about. I don't want to mention any names. And in that society, the ones where young girls walk in the streets selling bison brooms and things like that. And we know that more than any other in that society, girls get married off at 13, 14. So people who exist at what appears to be the margins of our general society, how can we're having problems in the dominant culture, I get, with violence, but where we know that these people don't agree in educating their children, don't agree in taking them to the hospital when they're sick, and they marry their children off early. And because they are entitled to their own self-determination and what have you, all the fancy things that people talk about. How can we approach those kind of issues? And I want you to contrast it with what happened with the Basara communities where the government went into the CKGR and grabbed them out of there to say, no, you guys cannot be here without hospitals and this and that. Yet we know of others who also exist, but they're in the same situation, different location, but they are not affected or touched.
Well, you're talking about the rights of the minorities.
Yeah.
And the rights of the minorities in Botswana, I don't know how to express this, but there's a general statement made that we should actually look at where we are coming from. Whether they are being relocated due to potential mining or investments or whatever for the country, they are saying, they meaning the representatives of the government, that everyone moved, everyone was relocated. As you know, the present joining mine, it's sitting on Meraka ya batho. People moved, and then the mine tse dingwe gape, or in the past, the wildlife was also considered diamonds of the country. People relocated for those protection of or the game reserves. The Constitution specifically, when we received it, it protected the Basara and the CKGR. It's coming from the colonizers. So we actually agreed that we will continue to protect them, because it's their way of life as indigenous people that we protect them. So now, of course, things have changed. As usual, when time moves, everything seems to be, people have different perspectives and whatnot. But if we take it up against the background that everybody has been shifted, again, I mean, government, especially with this act of acquisition of property, is compulsory acquisition. Though that particular act, it seems to be, well, it has been drafted in a way that it's really, how would I put it? It's encroaching, or it's allowed actually under the Constitution to, it's an exception for your right of privacy. Because the only thing left for you need to just negotiate the rate. Otherwise, you're out of there. Once they identify your maraka or your what, you're gone. You just need to just negotiate the compensation.
Yeah.
Because the Constitution.
For the greater good, I get it. Is that the yeah.
But now the whole argument is, or debate is, that why are we according the indigenous people this special thing? But others are saying they are being accorded this special treatment because it's coming from the Constitution. We accepted that they will be protected in the CKGR.
So yeah. So I'm saying I want you to juxtapose the treatment of where, okay, there was the movement because of all those things. Fine, I'm not denying that. But also there was this element where I remember the former president Mogai saying, no, we cannot have people living, that very, how should I say?
Yes, the reserve, the game reserve.
Yeah. So
is it the game? Yeah.
Yeah, no, so what I'm asking is, we know that obviously there were also child marriages in that society like everybody else, and by them being brought closer to the general population and the government intervening in their lives more, the majority of the negative things may have fallen away, except I know that they're struggling with alcoholism and all those things. But generally, it's like the Basara people have been brought out of traditional lifestyle and being modernized because their children are now being put up in schools and everything. But there's another community that we know of where they are right there in Gaborone and other villages closer to where the government eyes, but still the children don't get to go to school. The girls are married off at whatever the earliest opportunity when they've reached their teenage years. So the government was able to intervene in the Batswana case to make sure that they go to school and progress in complex. And what about these other people who are, we know that children don't go to school. We see them on the streets during weekdays when school is in.
Yeah. Well, you know, this sect of group or minorities, they challenge government in courts. There are actually cases, even in Zimbabwe. I've come across cases when there are vaccinations, health, whatever laws, they are able to challenge.
Yeah.
They are able to raise funds, and they actually pursue cases up to Court of Appeal. And they win cases. The rights of the minorities, they win cases. But, you know, for them to have gone ahead to, you know, to the CKGR and all that, I've always wondered what instigated that. But it could have been that they needed to pursue national interests, because they usually use public interest for such you know, actions, and use it against you know, the minorities. But the judges have to balance. They do a balancing act of you know,
Public interest and so that you don't have the tyranny of the majority.
Yes. So even when the decision, as you can see, it was struggling to balance. And that is why they were saying that only those that were applicants could stay in the CKGR, when we all knew that they were representatives for communities. And then the rest were relocated. All these 169 or something could stay in there. So, but you know, it's a decision that, you know, the current opinion of it, that especially that with the new regime, they as you know, that this, you know, the resting place of it was you know, pursued accordingly. But indigenous people have got their rights, and they're very well respected, very well respected. That is why they're still roaming the streets, what, because there's a convention actually protecting the indigenous people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, let me get back to Mona Rona. So as a young lawyer, how are you and your peers preparing to lead in this traditionally male-dominated sector of law? Because you've heard your senior there detailing it, and I'm sure you've seen some of it. So how are you guys going to deal with it?
Okay, in this new like era, or this new mushroom of like females in this law area, I've seen there's way more advocacy, right? There's way more advocacy for equality. There's an increased amount of advocacy for equality and gender neutralism in the workspace, not only in the workspace, but in the general society. So it's good being in an educated nation, right? It's a good thing that we are in an educated nation, and that majority of Gen Z prioritize school and being able to educate themselves and like sensitize themselves as to issues affecting gender and like workspace, or gender and like society as a whole, right? So we do see a more, what do you call it, a more open space where women are allowed to be opinionated and women are allowed to have their voice heard, right? So it's more, it's working for us in that regard, for people especially that we are sensitized in school, boys versus girls, and we are able to now admit actually females are actually very, very intelligent or like very very smart, right? So we do accept that as a norm these days, and being able to accept it as a norm works in our favor in a way, considering that the fact that men are more the younger generation, of course, are more like in tune as to no, I need to discuss, or I need to like deal with females the same way as I deal with males, considering we are sensitized. There's like the what do you call it? The gender workshops where you have males and females in spaces, existing in spaces, and being able to say, this is how you treat women in the workspace, this is how you treat women in society, this is what's expected of you, and this is how you're supposed to execute or behave as a man in this spaces. So I think that works in our behalf, but we still have a long way to go. We still do have a long
How far is Maunatlala from Lerala?
Not very far. Not very far. I think that's not very far.
Oh, guys, I'm so heartbroken about ATI. But anyway, the reason why, the reason why I'm asking you about Lerala is to say, I know there is a constantation of Bohosi there, where the female daughter of the former chief is fighting with, I think, her cousin or whatever, and the man has already been installed, even though the case is before the courts. And in one of the comments that I saw, somebody on social media was saying, tell that woman that in a kotla you need to be wearing a jacket, a suit jacket. And you know, he said he made this comment, this individual made this comment under a photo of Ian Kama with the new Kosi, the one who just got installed. And he wasn't wearing a suit jacket. So, you know, I just thought it was a nice little anecdote because they're busy trying to say that woman is not qualified to be a chief because she cannot wear a suit jacket. But there was one Kosi right there not wearing it inside the kota. So so I think you can just tell me if you could change one law or policy tomorrow, what would it be and why?
A policy I would change is, hey, there's a lot. There's a lot that we need to do. Yeah.
You can tell me 2 or 3, but you be very, very brief.
Top of my head, we need to end this issue of gender-based violence. It's like a yesterday issue that needs to be ended today. So we need reforms, like you said, on the old Gender-Based Violence Act, and like execute people. We are a generation that we are a nation that allows death row. So it's okay to put people on death row for such incidents where females suffer.
Yeah.
And it's about femicide or gender-based violence. Like increase or impose like stricter laws, imprison people for like 20 plus years, even if it's a life imprisonment for just for not just, let me not belittle just gender-based violence, for gender-based violence, or for issues that put women in danger.
Yeah, women violence against women. I think when we start saying gender-based violence, we are sugarcoating it and making allowances that now take us from the problem. We are the women being the recipients of the violence.
Yes. So if I was president today and I had to I sign off a law, it would definitely be for people who are found guilty of committing any violent act against women should be put on death row. That's I'm very radical about.
No. So Chilume, I want you to harela for us, and just looking back, what lessons from your journey would you like to pass on to the next generation of Batswana women?
Well, the lessons are this, that we tend to be very distant to the very issues that affect us on a daily basis. And as long as we are expecting somebody somewhere to come and save us, we are just going to be in this current dilemma. Really, the Constitution should be amended. That Constitution, that article would require a 2/3 majority. So it requires stricter and requirements for the article to be amended. The Constitution is not meant to be amended willy-nilly. But this is where our problem starts, the Constitution. We need to do something about it now, because that is where then the others follow. Once that is done, then the acts, the statute book, the policy, the formulation of policies and all that, it will all fall into line. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think let me allow Marang to just give us her closing remarks.
I am very, pleased with the fact that the government has included women. There's more women in government today, especially younger women in government today, who are able to advocate for women's rights and advocate for equality across our nation. This interview again will bring an overcast or an overview of reforms that need to be done, especially on the legal side of things, to help boost or to help sensitize the public or any other minorities struggling with accepting or knowing the law or knowing their rights. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to sit here with you today and have a conversation about this, because majority people don't usually have conversations. What is ATI? So to just take a break off of him, it's very refreshing to have people with like minds being able to think, reforms that need to be done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the action needs to be taken, not just reforms, like reform and act, because that action can will eventually produce results, or we'll see change in future. So thank you so much for bringing.
Thank you.